Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 5 of What If Naruto Became a Vasto Lorde. If you guys enjoy this what if, and want to see part 6 of it, comment down below and let me know. The like goal for this video is 100 likes. So like this video, to let me know that you're interested in this series, and you want the next part. Check out my new videos of My Hero Academia what ifs in my second channel, and give it some love as well. Link is in the description. And go ahead and check out other what ifs in the channel. Before we start, please do support for more awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So let's start this video. Ulquiorra knew by the tensing of the Kumo shinobi at the gate of the village, they knew just who he was, and the two Jinchuriki behind him. The mere sight of his presence more than likely made the two gate guards shake in their combat boots, but the two Jinchuriki with the combined tail strength of Kyuubi no doubt made them soil their pants, and were fearful of what the three would do to the village. "I'm here to seek an audience with your Raikage," said Ulquiorra simply while stopping at the gate entrance with the two guards shaking, though one nodded and quickly left to get their village leader. 5 minutes later. "So you're the infamous Ulquiorra Schiffer, huh? The slayer of high-ranked shinobi. By your reputation, I was expecting someone with more build and muscle, and not someone with a twig body," said the Raikage, who was exact opposite in every way physically to Ulquiorra, and didn't look too impressed. Where Ulquiorra was of average height, the Raikage was tall. Where Ulquiorra was lean and slightly skinny, the Raikage had enough muscle mass to take down mountains. Skin color. Ulquiorra was pale and the Raikage a well-tanned brown. "Same to your Raikage of Kumo. Given your reputation, I heard when coming over here, I was expecting someone stronger," said Ulquiorra, seeing the Raikage looking pissed at that statement. "You got a lot of guts and some balls to say that to me, punk. Even the Eight Tails knows not to do that, after I took off one of his horns in battle, before he was sealed into my little brother," said the Raikage, seeing Ulquiorra raise an eyebrow. "Well, that is impressive for a human given how strong such creatures are. It's not enough to make me think twice about killing you right here, and the village should I wish it," said Ulquiorra, seeing the Raikage still having an angry look on his face. "How do I know you're not going to do that now?" said the Raikage simply. "If I had wanted to kill you and wipe out Kumo, this conversation would not have lasted this long," said Ulquiorra, seeing Killer Bee and Niujido appeared behind him ready to defend their Raikage. "Like you did with the Tsuchikage in Iwa and then Rice Country after killing Orochimaru of the Sannin and Kabuto," said the Raikage, seeing Ulquiorra nod. "Exactly. Also, on the way here, I killed Uchiha Itachi, Hoshibara Kasame, Kakuzu, and Hidan of the Akatsuki organization. I believe they were on their way here for those two," said Ulquiorra, seeing the shock on their faces. "Do you have proof of their deaths?" said the Raikage, seeing Ulquiorra nod. "We saw it happen," said Han with Rashi nodding. "That and I have 2 of 4 Akatsuki rings for proof of the act. I gave Uchiha Sasuke his brother's ring to further bring him despair. Only fitting considering how through him did I lose my heart," said Ulquiorra, seeing Niujido go a little green at that. "Would you like to collect the bounty on them? If you do, I need some form of proof for the Uchiha's death, and something concrete for the other one," said the Raikage, seeing Ulquiorra nod and motion for Han to step forward with a sealing scroll. "Will the Uchiha's head suffice? Along with Hidan's broken side. I also wish to collect on the bounty for Orochimaru and his assistant Kabuto, using the man's sword as proof," said Ulquiorra, before revealing the Kusanagi blade to them, while Rashi held up Hidan's broken weapon. This will do." "Most definitely," said the Raikage, seeing the head of Uchiha Itachi. "I also wish to discuss a possible alliance with you for dealing with the other remaining Akatsuki members. They will come for your brother, the blonde one next to him, Han, Rashi, and the others for their master plan. We cannot allow such a thing to happen," said Ulquiorra, seeing the Raikage look at him with a calculating gaze, and then turn to let them in. "Jinchuriki are not well liked in the world, but my brother is all the family I have left, and could never abandon him to such a life. Nijido is also treated well here in Kumo, since my little brother would never forgive me if I gave him special treatment, while a fellow Jinchuriki was scorned for what she held," said the Raikage, heading to his office with them following in behind him. "And it clearly shows treating them with the respect they deserve has its benefits," said Ulquiorra, seeing the people of Kumo were being respectful to both Bee and Nijido. "Yes. Sadly, we're an island unto ourselves when it comes to this policy, and wish we could show the world how wrong they are with the way Jinchuriki are treated. The only remaining Jinchuriki left aside from the Kazukage in Suna is the one in Taki, which holds the 7-tailed Jinchuriki, and uses her like a damn guard dog. They don't even let her live in the village, and yet they make sure she stays just close enough, so she can't run away through years of mental abuse bringing about fear of the outside world should she abandon them. I've tried to send agents to the area where the girl is rumored to be, but they have failed to find and capture her so she can be brought back here to see the truth," said the Raikage, seeing Ulquiorra raise an eyebrow at him. "That is most impressive, Raikage-sama. Something only a few would do in your position of power, if they learned of such a thing about this girl," said Ulquiorra, as he was liking this place more and more with each passing moment. "Thank you, Ulquiorra-sama. As for your alliance with me and Kumo, I would humbly accept it to combat them and protect those I care about in Kumo, said the Raikage, as he sat down in his office chair and moved the barbell he used for a paperweight when not working out to go through some more paperwork. I don't intend this alliance to be just our two sides. I wish to have others join to combat the Akatsuki and the other villages that persecuted their Jinchuriki, said Ulquiorra, seeing the Raikage nod in understanding. I figured you would give him how you saved Tsuna's Kazukage, who is also a Jinchuriki, and then killed the Tsuchikage for treating his own like weapons. You won't find the two in Mist, as they aren't there anymore due to the Mizukage, who is one had been killed after the successful coup pulled there, and the other has gone missing before that. Sadly, he's been presumed dead. Most likely at the hands of the Akatsuki, I'm afraid, said the Raikage, as he could only imagine something like that happening to Yujido and his brother B. And it scared him more than it did pissing him off. Raikage-sama, I need a word with you, said a Chunin coming into the office, and was hesitant to speak in front of Ulquiorra, Han, and Rashi. Speak, said the Raikage simply, since keeping something from Ulquiorra was no doubt impossible at this point. Our scouts report a female Hyuga is near the Lightning Country border, and from what they can determine, it's a main family member, said the Chunin, seeing the man's eyes widen in surprise. Could it be? No. She wouldn't, thought Ulquiorra, hoping it wasn't Hinata. There's more. We intercepted information from one of our spies that she ran away from the Hyuga clan in Konoha, though the reason is still unknown. Several Chunin and Jounin have been dispatched to bring her back before facing charges, said the Chunin, as he saw Ulquiorra rise from his chair and open the garganta near the window. Where are you going, Ulquiorra-sama? Said Yujido while shivering at the sight of that dark place he was entering. I thought it would be obvious. I'm going to save what is left of my heart, said Ulquiorra before entering the garganta, while ignoring the shocked looks on their faces. With Hinata. You can't escape, Hinata. Surrender and the Hokage will go easy on you, said Kiba with Shikamaru, Neji, Kurenai, and Asuma. No. My place is with Ulquiorra. I wouldn't go back to a village that hates him even more than they did when he was still Naruto-kun, said Hinata, as she prepared herself for battle, and wasn't going down without a fight. Hinata, you have to understand, the Hokage has to do things we disagree with, but must accept nonetheless, and know every decision made is for the good of the village, said Kurenai, seeing Hinata surprisingly glare at her. When she orders the execution of someone you love, I highly doubt you'll be singing the same tune then, and be in this same spot I am now, said Hinata, seeing Kurenai trying to combat her words, but failing miserably, and the Hyuga knew she had the older woman beat. Regardless, you will be taken back, Hinata-sama, and you will be punished for this. Both the Hokage and the Hyuga clan will see to that, said Neji, as he now took several steps forward to fight her, and teach his cousin a lesson. No. She will not be punished, said Ulquiorra, appearing out of the garganta and behind Hinata while staring at the group intently. Ulquiorra-kun, said Hinata, as she saw him look from the leaf shinobi to her, and saw the side of his lip twitch for a mere fraction of a second, that only by grace of having the Byakugan on at such close range did she even see it. Hello, Hinata-chan, said Ulquiorra before looking back at the others in front of him. How did you know where I was? Said Hinata, as she didn't expect him to find her, and the fact he even came made the Hyuga woman's heart swell up. I was having a meeting with the Raikage in Kumo, when a shinobi reported a spy in the leaf had informed him of you leaving Konoha with the capture team hunting you down, said Ulquiorra, seeing Neji tense up and glare at him. So you not only come back more of a monster than before, but you side with the village that cost me my father, and shamed my family, said Neji, seeing the Arrancar raise an eyebrow at him. Coming from the man who tried to kill his own cousin out of anger and wounded pride 3 years ago at the Chunin preliminaries. Your actions then and now are very much like that of a mindless hollow, said Ulquiorra, seeing Neji frown in confusion, and yet his anger seemed to increase. Shut your mouth. Hinata-sama has deserted the Hyuga clan and the Leaf village. She will be punished, and there is nothing you can do to stop fate decreeing this will happen, said Neji before charging forward, while Ulquiorra simply took a few steps in front of Hinata with his hands in his pocket. When Neji thrust his palm forward, Ulquiorra jumped slightly onto the back of the hand with the tip of his foot, and kicked the Hyuga in the face with the other. The impact of the blow sent Neji flying back into Asuma, who had to put chakra into his feet to keep himself from falling over when catching the younger shinobi, and glared at the Arrancar. Shikamaru tried to use shadow possession on Ulquiorra, but he easily overpowered the move, and grabbed the fist aimed at him by Asuma, before squeezing the man's hand until the sound of it breaking was heard with the Jounin crying out in pain. Ulquiorra then bent the arm at an odd angle, struck the Sarutobi with his free hand in the ribs, breaking quite a few of them, and the man's throat in his hands, before kicking Neji away, when the Hyuga tried to strike out against him. Let him go, said Kurenai, having snuck behind him, and grabbed Hinata, before placing a kunai to her throat. Kurenai-sensei, said Hinata, as she couldn't believe her former sensei would do this, and put out a weapon against her. I said let him go or I'll slice into Hinata's throat, said Kurenai, seeing Ulquiorra look at her and then at Hinata. You would kill a former student? Just like that? Over him, said Ulquiorra with a raised eyebrow, while Kurenai's eyes narrowed. She's replaceable, said Kurenai, seeing Ulquiorra look from her to Asuma and then back into her eyes. It's clear you care for this Jounin more than you're willing to admit. Just how much does he mean to you? Said Ulquiorra, seeing Kurenai once more press the kunai closer against Hinata's throat. Let him go or she dies, said Kurenai, seeing Ulquiorra look at Hinata before throwing Asuma into a nearby tree. Done? Now you let her go or I put a hole through your heart, said Ulquiorra, seeing Kurenai smirk. Look at this. It seems you do have a weakness after all, said Kurenai while Ulquiorra's eyes narrowed slightly. Last chance. Know that if you kill her, everything you love will die before you do, said Ulquiorra, seeing Kurenai going through hand signs, but a ball to Asuma's arm made her stop, and look in shock at the Jounin now missing a limb. Bastard, said Kurenai, seeing Asuma crying out in pain. Judging from your one-handed hand signs, you weren't going to let Hinata go, and I had come to the immediate conclusion that you thought I was bluffing. Now you know that I'm not bluffing. The next attack goes through his heart. Let her go or he dies. If not him, then someone else on this little leaf team, if not all of them, and you will be the last to die, said Ulquiorra, seeing, before charging up another bola, to unleash on Asuma or Neji should he feel like it. Snarling slightly, Kurenai released Hinata from her grip, but tensed instantly when she realized Ulquiorra kept the strange attack ready to fire, and wondered why that was. Then she noticed something crawling almost unnoticeably towards Hinata, and had to hide the smirk that wished to come out knowing victory was near. But rather what she thought was victory until Ulquiorra fired his ball into the trees where Shikamaru had hidden himself, and put a fist-sized hole through his chest, before the now dead leaf shinobi fell off the tree. Several strikes hit him from behind, thanks to Neji, as he never took his eyes off Kurenai. He now had hope rising in her heart for each strike the Hyuga prodigy hit him with. Your chakra points are now sealed, Ulquiorra-san. It's over, said Neji before striking the Arrancar in the exposed temple, and expecting the man to fall. He did not. Instead, Ulquiorra grabbed Neji's hand by the wrist, and broke that part of the Hyuga, before breaking the arm connected to it. Turning slowly to the now in pain leaf shinobi, the two were now staring each other in the eyes, and Neji at this point finally understood the severity of his situation. You are correct, Hyuga Neji. It is over, said Ulquiorra before putting a hole into Neji's chest, and threw him away into a tree where he slumped to the ground. Dead. How could you do that to Neji? He's Hinata's cousin, said Kiba with Akamaru barking at him, but the look in Ulquiorra's eyes told the dog to shut up. She'll hate you now, Baka, said Kurenai, as she was mixed between joyful and angry that Neji's death would destroy the Arrancar's relationship with Hinata. If Hinata wishes to hate me then so be it, said Ulquiorra, knowing that was always a distinct possibility, and looked at the Hyuga girl not meeting his eyes, while no doubt mourning the loss of her cousin. Itsuga, said Kiba, attacking Ulquiorra with Akamaru, but the Arrancar knocked each away easily, and with the Inizuka landing near Hinata. Demonic illusion, tree-binding death, said Kurenai, as she had enough of this man, and put him in her genjutsu, knowing nothing short of someone with a taijutsu was going to break out this. You really think this will actually help you kill me, said Ulquiorra, as he felt the tree wrap around him, and Kurenai appear through it with a kunai in hand, and looking at him hatefully. I know it will, monster, said Kurenai before moving the kunai to his throat, but before she could do anything, a strike from behind knocked the woman down, and she saw the form of Hyuga Hinata there with the Byakugan active. I won't let you kill him, said Hinata, having come to the painful truth that all that was once pure in Konoha was dead or gone from it. Hinata, you would side with him. He killed your cousin Neji. Shikamaru is dead too. Asuma, Kiba, and Akamaru are severely injured. Why? Said Kurenai, seeing Hinata now scowling at her. Because he is everything to me. Just as I am to him. I chose Ulquiorra the moment I left the leaf. No hesitation and no turning back. You held a kunai to my throat and asked him to free your secret lover, or you would kill me. He let me go, but you were going to use me against him, and called me his weakness. I will never be his weakness. Never, said Hinata, feeling a fire in her body, a rise that she never thought possible after Naruto's initial death until now. I was bluffing. I would never hurt you, Hinata-chan. My favorite student, said Kurenai, but Hinata wasn't buying it, and walked away from the woman before Ulquiorra himself stood in her line of sight. Go back to the Leaf Village, Kurenai. Tell your Hokage her time in this world is coming to an end, and so are all the pawns she sends against me, said Ulquiorra before walking away from the Jounin, before stopping and staring at Asuma clutching his bleeding stump of an arm. No, don't. Run, Asuma, said Kurenai, seeing Ulquiorra form a single green ball of energy the size of a marble on the tip of his right finger. Zero, said Ulquiorra, and put a hole in Asuma's chest. No, yelled Kurenai, as her secret lover was killed right before the woman's eyes, and cried into the ground before slamming her fist into it. Ulquiorra blocked her out, as he focused on Hinata, and gently touched the Hyuga girl's face with care like she was made out of glass. She leaned into him, savoring the feeling of his touch, and soon held him in her arms while slowly crying into his shirt. I'm ready to go now, said Hinata, feeling a hand wrap around her body, and soon felt the detachment of leaving the ground for the air. Ulquiorra was actually in the air, practically standing in the air like there was an invisible floor to stand and walk on, though Hinata dare not let go. Looking up at him, Hinata was once again surprised to see the Arrancar smirk, which was an equivalent to a smile for him, and held her closer. "So let's go," said Ulquiorra into her ear, as he slowly took the girl to Kumo, and enjoyed the feeling her touch gave. How had he gone without feeling anything for so long? So many centuries passed since he had died, feeling emotions, and the sensations the good ones gave him despite being rare. It felt right to be held by Hinata. "Kumo, Raikage's office. You really trust this guy?" "Don't you?" said Yujiro, seeing Han nod, and so did Rashi. "We were going to be sent back to Iwa and be conditioned to serve the Tsuchikage into being mindless weapons. Ulquiorra-sama interfered, killed the Anbu team, and told us to go to Wave Country to find happiness there. Sadly, Leaf Shinobi came there shortly after Ulquiorra-sama did to kill him, and thus made us both targets for everyone else if we stayed," said Rashi, seeing Yujiro nod. "Man, the Leaf is whack just like Iwa, and should know better than to attack. If they were really smart, they'd stop and think rather than jump and blink. It makes my head hurt and want to blurt my feelings into their dealings," said B before being hit by a paperweight. "What have I told you about rapping?" said the Raikage angrily. "Sorry, but you know me. If I'm not rapping, then I'm not Killer B," said B, as he made the others sweat drop and shake their heads at him. "Your way of speaking is disturbing," said Ulquiorra, walking into the room with Hinata beside him. "Is this the Hyuga girl that ran away from the Leaf?" said A, as he could tell the girl was indeed one of stunning beauty, and a Hyuga too that made him curse his age. "Damn it. Her chest is bigger than mine," thought Yujiro, while the Nibi snickered at its jealous host. "Yes. Her name is Hinata," said Ulquiorra, seeing Han and Rashi surprisingly bow before Hinata. "It is an honor, Hinata-sama," said Han, making Hinata become embarrassed at all this attention. "Oh please, you don't have to bow." "I'm not special," said Hinata, not knowing why they would even bow to her in the first place. "But you are. You bring Ulquiorra-sama happiness. That is enough for us," said Rashi before the two rose from their positions. "They do realize this could spark a war with the Leaf just by having her here," said A, as he knew such things happen for less, and could get bloody real soon. "Highly unlikely. The Leaf no longer has the necessary strength to oppose Kumo. Some of their most elite shinobi are dead, and Suna is no longer allied with them, with various political problems being rumored to have arisen around them," said Ulquiorra, seeing the man nod in agreement. As he had heard that too, and figured it had something to do with the Arrancar's past life. Still, Kumo having four Jinchuriki within its walls, plus a Hyuga main family member, now will make several villages nervous, and possibly forge an unlikely alliance against us, said A, knowing the old phrase, "The enemy of my enemy is my friend," could manifest itself. "If that happens, I will help you deal with it, and in exchange I request residency for all of us here in Kumo. However, should either Han or Rashi wish to leave the village once this is over, you will let them. And you will not seek to prevent them from finding their own happiness and life outside of the village," said Ulquiorra, seeing the Raikage nod. "Done," said A, while Yujiro was a bit shocked he would agree so soon. "Thank you, Raikage-sama. Aside from Sabaku no Gar, you are the only other Kage I have come to respect, and look forward to working with you in the near future," said Ulquiorra, bowing his head slightly before leaving the office with Han, Rashi, and Hinata to find necessary dwellings until a more permanent residence could be made. "Why did you agree so soon to his demands, Raikage-sama?" said Yujiro, seeing B was in a bit of agreement with her. "Yeah bro. You basically gave the green light with the word go," said Killer B while scratching his head. "Because, it's better to be at the devil's side than be in his path, and I would rather not have Kumo in his line of sight, should he wish to destroy it," said A, seeing Yujiro not in agreement at that concept, since the Nibi was really scared of Ulquiorra. "Really scared? That albino is strong like Rhino," said Killer B, and was hit by a paperweight thrown by the Raikage. "Damn it B. Stop your rapping," yelled the Raikage, making everyone in the village sweat drop. Konoha, Hokage's office, 1 week later. "Hokage-sama, you need to cut back on the sake," said Shizu, knowing drinking this much was unhealthy even for the best medic nin in all the world. "I'll cut back when I feel like it, Shizu. Now get out," said Tsunade, as she had just come back from the hospital, finished healing what was left of the injured team sent to bring back Hyuga Hinata, only to find that one Ulquiorra Schiffer had appeared, and kill roughly half the team with the other half badly injured. The only positive thing it did was allow the woman to plead a case to stay as Hokage, as she had to convince the fire daimyo that threat Ulquiorra possessed to all the other villages and their countries, if not handled properly. Something she had claimed was possible if allowed to stay as Hokage and prepare a plan with Jiraiya to take the Arrancar down. The fire daimyo wanted Tsunade, however, that if she failed just once in any plan made to stop Ulquiorra Schiffer, then the woman would be removed as Hokage of the Leaf, and someone else with a more level-head mind taking her place. "The situation is worse than you realize, Tsunade," said Jiraiya, seeing Tsunade glaring at him, and almost threw her sake bottle at him. "If it were empty." "How so?" said Tsunade before taking a swig of the bottle's contents. "Ulquiorra has joined Kumo." The two Jinchuriki from Iowa have decided to join too, so long as he's there, and just recently acquired Taki's Jinchuriki the same day he took out most of the captured team. The Jinchuriki there was a girl named Fu, who holds the seven-tailed demon inside her body, and has instantly come to like Ulquiorra after he revealed to her that everything she was told about the outside world was a lie. According to one of my spies in Kumo, they have been dubbed his fraction, and my spy tells me they're going to meet the female Mizukage soon for a possible alliance with Kumo, said Jiraiya, knowing what that could do, should it happen and succeed. When? Where? Said Tsunade, knowing this could be their chance to strike. 3 days. The Raikage and Ulquiorra intend to meet with Mizukage Terumime to discuss a means to combat the Akatsuki in Wave Country, given its current standing of neutrality with the Wave Daimyo's blessing provided they stay civil. The Spring Daimyo herself is going to be there, as she wants to see Ulquiorra herself, and see just how much of him has changed from the blonde-haired brat we all knew years ago. Though given Miss doesn't have any Jinchuriki anymore, I doubt they'll agree to such an alliance, and wish to stabilize their village, due to the aftermath of the civil war, still taking its toll on them, said Jiraiya, seeing Tsunade thinking this over. We need to do something to make it seem like a trap, Jiraiya, said Tsunade, seeing her old teammate thinking about it, but was coming up blank for ideas, and didn't know how to turn potential allies into enemies. But we could just leave it alone. I doubt Miss will want to make an alliance, Tsunade. If we interfere, it could give Mist a reason to turn his efforts on us, and then they will sign such an alliance, if just to destroy the leaf, said Jiraiya, not wanting to stir up a hornet's nest. No. The Fire Daimyo wants me to nip this problem with Ulquiorra Schiffer in the bud, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. You along with the Meisho guy, Rock Lee, Tenten and the other remaining Rookie 9, are going to go to that meeting place to turn those two villages against each other. Akatsuki will eventually react, weakening them further, and then we strike when the brat least expects it, said Tsunade evilly, while Jiraiya just sighed. He's too powerful. Even if you could get close to him, the others won't let you, and not to mention the majority of the power in Kumo now consists of almost all the remaining Jinchuriki in the elemental countries. The only one not in Kumo is in Suna, and he'd sooner kill a leaf ambassador that walked into his village than hear a single offer we give him, said Jiraiya, seeing Tsunade glaring at him. Make it work, Jiraiya. I don't care how you do it. I don't care what it cost. I want that damn brat dead, said Tsunade, as she slammed her fist into the desk, and when she emphasized the last word spoken. That's the problem, Tsunade. You don't care anymore. And that's what's going to destroy us all, thought Jiraiya, as it was bad enough he had to deal with the Uchiha currently in the hospital in the mental ward, and Inoichi trying to get the brat out of his funk. Now he had to basically plan his own death. The new morning came in Kumo, as the sun was shining into Ulquiorra's bedroom, and the Arrancar couldn't remember the last time he slept so peacefully until now. If at all. Beside him, in his bed in the house he had acquired, was the snuggling form of Hyuga Hinata, and the content smile on her face made the former Espada realize the emptiness in his heart had been lessening ever since he had been around the woman. Silently examining his hollow hull, Ulquiorra realized it had decreased by half of its original size, and all within the short time of being with Hinata. They hadn't done it, of course, as he didn't understand the dynamics of the whole love-making process, which was understandable, since he had just started to feel some of the necessary emotions for having a relationship. Hinata didn't mind, as she had her prayers answered in being with him, even if he wasn't the original version of the man she loved, and accepted him as Ulquiorra Schiffer. Is this what it means to be truly alive? Am I even closer to feeling remotely alive? Aizen-sama would know, but since he's not here to instruct, I must do things on my own, and try to relearn what it means to feel again, thought Ulquiorra while his hand was involuntarily stroking Hinata's hair, and heard the woman moan slightly at the attention. A knock at the door made him stop, as the person behind the bedroom door opened it to reveal the person was Taki's Jinchuriki Fu, and now part of his newly created fraction. The green-haired girl was a tad envious of Hinata lying in the same bed as him. It was clear she wanted to show Ulquiorra her own appreciation, and the only way Fu could even think about showing it was through physical contact. Still, if there was one thing Fu had in spades, it was patience, and the green-haired seven-tailed Jinchuriki knew she would have to be patient in regards to Ulquiorra. She had been informed by both Han and Rashi of how the Arrancar came to be from what they knew from the man himself. Excuse me for my interruption, Ulquiorra-sama, but the Raikage requests your presence in his office within the hour, and says it is important, said Fu while trying not to look at the Arrancar's chest, which while not showing much muscles was something she liked to stare at, and heard the Seven Tails kept saying that the Arrancar was a powerful entity that should be respected. Thank you, Fu. I'll be ready to meet the Raikage shortly, said Ulquiorra while trying to sound polite, which wasn't easy given his lack of emotions, and hoped the green-haired woman understood. Fu smiled before bowing, and shutting the door. She really likes you, said Hinata in a mumbled voice. I know, said Ulquiorra while stroking Hinata's hair. You could start your own clan, Ulquiorra-kun. Have multiple wives, said Hinata, as she looked up at him, and saw the raised eyebrow. I don't think I could handle that. Not yet anyway, said Ulquiorra, seeing Hinata smile slightly, and kiss his bare shoulder, while placing a gentle hand over the hollow hole. You have plenty of time to decide. Just consider it. You deserve happiness, said Hinata, while wishing she could heal the hole herself. Not even Hinata's love could fill the empty holes still there. All throughout Naruto's life, he was denied love in almost every form, and died with such an intense emptiness. While Ulquiorra had told her that the hole had decreased, the Hyuga woman knew it would take more than her love to remove it, and get the man to feel things again. I will, said Ulquiorra, knowing he had to get ready to see the Raikage, but didn't want to ruin this time with Hinata, and even now she seemed to sense it. Go get ready to see the Raikage. I understand, said Hinata, kissing his cheek, and giving him room to move. I feel cold without you, said Ulquiorra, as if the sensation to feeling cold was new to him, and probably was in a sense. Me too, said Hinata, seeing him rise out of the bed to take a shower in the bathroom. I do not like this feeling, said Ulquiorra, seeing Hinata smile at him with that knowing look of understanding in her eyes. It's not permanent. You know that, Ulquiorra-kun, said Hinata calmly, knowing he had been having some difficulty dealing with this since they were together, and realized this would take a lot of work to overcome a void in his heart. I know. Still, I don't think I'll ever get used to this, and the feelings that comes with not being able to touch you, said Ulquiorra before entering the bathroom and shutting the door. Poor Ulquiorra-kun. Don't worry, your emotions and feelings will come back. I promise you, thought Hinata, as she didn't want him to suffer, and needed to find a way for the man to express himself again like Naruto. Okay. Maybe not like Naruto, but better than the emotionless face of Ulquiorra Schiffer, and the inability to feel anything at all. Raikage's office. You wanted to speak with me, said Ulquiorra, as he appeared via Garganta, and ready to head for Wave, in order to forge an alliance with Mist. Yes. I got another piece of information from Konoha, but I'm hesitant to act on it, given it didn't come from one of my spies in the village, and I feel your insight would help in my decision on how to handle this, said the Raikage, seeing the Arrancar nod. What's the information and who provided it? Said Ulquiorra, seeing the Raikage look uneasy at telling him. Basically, the information states that the Hokage, who I personally think has practically lost her damn mind, knows about the meeting with Mist you're going to have to discuss an alliance, and she knows everything. Names, location, time of the meeting, and every other detail needed to screw everything up for us. But that's not what worries me, said the Raikage, seeing Ulquiorra raise an eyebrow at him. They provided the information that our meeting was known to the Leaf, said Ulquiorra, seeing the Raikage's look of unease grow. The same person who told the loony Hokage of the meeting and the details behind it. Jiraiya of the Sanin, said the Raikage, seeing Ulquiorra's eyes narrow for a second in thought. It's a bribe, said Ulquiorra, seeing the Raikage raise an eyebrow. A bribe? I thought it was a threat by the Leaf to call off the meeting, said the Raikage, as he couldn't imagine it anything but a threat, and yet it was clear Ulquiorra thought otherwise. Yes. A bribe. It's not a threat from the Leaf. No. Tsunade would never let Jiraiya tell a rival village she knew something important that could be used against her rivals. This is a bribe from Jiraiya aimed at me. He wants to appease me, so I don't kill him when I see my former godfather again like I did in Wave Country. To make up for past sins, and to let sleeping dogs lie if you will, said Ulquiorra, seeing the Raikage nod at hearing the man's explanation. What are you going to do? If Tsunade knows of the meeting, she's going to send every shinobi available, and come at you with everything she's got, said the Raikage, as he saw Ulquiorra walking away to the Garganta, now reopened for his usage, and stopped to look back at the leader of Kumo. She can come at me with Kyuubi at her command. I will crush everything and everyone she sends against me. It will be as if I killed her children. All those Tsunade sends, I will lay down at her feet, and watch the once proud woman fall to her knees in despair, while she stares at her shaking hands that will be stained with the blood of the shinobi sent to their deaths, said Ulquiorra before entering the Garganta. Damn. Note to self. Do not provoke Ulquiorra Schiffer. Ever. Thought the Raikage with the shiver running down his spine, taking a good 15 minutes to stop. Wave Country. Alliance meeting place. We've checked the area, Mizukage-sama. No enemies detected as of yet, said Ao, seeing the red-haired woman nod. Good. Make sure nothing happens to the Spring Daimyo too. She's the witness to this meeting, and her death will look bad on our village, said Terumi Mei, as she awaited the arrival of the group from Kumo, and saw the woman doing the same. You have nothing to worry about. Nothing bad will happen. He won't let it, said the Spring Daimyo firmly yet gently with a smile on her face. I still can't believe this Ulquiorra Schiffer was once Uzuamki Naruto. The description of the two are complete opposites, said the Mizukage, who decided not to mention the boy was declared dead, and this pale-skinned man was very much alive. Yes. But with him, nothing is what it seems, and the impossible becomes possible, said Koyuki, smiled knowingly at the memory of the boy fighting against all odds against the enemy before him. The memories of the past were interrupted when Ulquiorra Schiffer appeared before them via Garganta, before sitting down in a chair across from the Mizukage, and ignoring the tense Mist Shinobi behind the Mizukage. He could tell the Spring Daimyo was happy to see him, yet sad to see the Arrancar was not the energetic Uzuamki Naruto she knew, and realized that boy was indeed dead with this person before her being the pre-verbal shadow of himself. My apologies for being late. I will be the only one from Kumo attending this meeting in the name of the Raikage, said Ulquiorra, seeing Koyuki nod, but Ao from Mist narrowed his cerebral eye at him, and didn't like the idea of this meeting not having the Raikage here in person. I assume you have proof that the Raikage has sent you on his behalf to this meeting, said Koyuki, knowing, unless such proof was produced immediately, the Arrancar would be considered a threat, and thus would have to be terminated. Yes, said Ulquiorra before producing the seal of the Raikage emblem, which was given to only a rare few to enforce his wishes in the cage's name, and all who had them were a reflection of the Raikage's overall beliefs in matters. In a nutshell, everyone with that emblem had the man's trust. I recognize the seal. It's authentic, said the Mizukage, as she had one of her own, and knew such things were near impossible to replicate. Very well. Then I call this meeting between Kumo and Mist to order. Ulquiorra Schiffer, you have the floor first, said Koyuki, seeing Ulquiorra nod in acknowledgement. Thank you, Spring Daimyo-sama. Mizukage-sama, as you no doubt know, the world has been spiraling into chaos, and the drowning in its own blood. Innocent people unworthy of suffering are experiencing just that, while those that cause it are in the seats of power, and use it to what they wish with a sense of invincibility. This can no longer be allowed, said Ulquiorra, seeing the Mizukage not in agreement, since the situation in Mist had in fact calmed down, still had some rough edges to smooth out, and keep things from once again spiraling out of control. Yes. But why seek us out? Mist is still recovering from the bloodline civil war, and Kumo has the majority of the Jinchuriki in their corner. The Raikage doesn't need us to win any upcoming war with those that wishes to oppose him, said the Mizukage, as she was well aware of the power Kumo now possessed, and had dwarfed the other villages by far. True, but the Raikage doesn't wish for Mist to be drawn into the war, and on the losing side. Surely you realize that this alliance between Mist and Kumo doesn't happen. The other villages opposing him will offer you the same in order to combat us, and as you have already stated, Mist is still recovering its own internal war, said Ulquiorra, seeing the woman nod at that, since she was sure the villages would see Mist turning Kumo's offer down as a sign of others opposing the Raikage's soon found strength. You assume the other villages won't have enough power to oppose the Raikage, said the Mizukage, which Ulquiorra raised an eyebrow at, and wondered if the Arrancar was really deprived of emotions like the rumors say. You assume they do have the power? I assure you, the 5 Jinchuriki residing in Kumo are not the pre-verbal fangs the village has, and it's not just the other villages that need to be destroyed, said Ulquiorra, seeing the red-haired woman frown. You're referring to the Akatsuki organization, said the Mizukage, seeing the Arrancar nod his head. They seek to abduct and remove the demons from their hosts. That in turn kills the hosts themselves, and I cannot allow that. Jinchuriki are used only by villages to be weapons, then thrown, or locked away before they seal the demon into another person years later for the cycle of abuse to continue. The Akatsuki wish to use the combined power of the demons to hold a blade to the world's throat, and force it into submission under their rule. That's unacceptable, said Ulquiorra, seeing the people around him become shocked by this news. I agree. Granted, my predecessor was a Jinchuriki, but there is evidence of him being manipulated by outside forces, and was not the monster we believed him to be, said Mei, as she had found Yugura's journal, and upon reading it had seen the evidence of the man being manipulated by the words written in his journal. Whatever had forced him to become a monster had not stopped him from writing things down in his journal, as a means for someone to fight this unseen puppeteer and prevent a repeat of history. For that to happen, Yugura had listed clues to the fiend in the journal, but it was heavy-coded, no doubt to prevent the wrong person from knowing what was really written in it, and to keep the puppeteer from learning his or her puppet was secretly usurping his or her plans. There is also the distinct possibility that the Akatsuki organization have also acquired Mist's secondary Jinchuriki, said Ulquiorra, seeing Mei not in agreement. We lost track of him sometime in the last 3 years. I fear he was the first to be taken by them. From what I've been hearing, you have been the main reason none of the others have been taken, and killed over half of their top members, said Mei, seeing the Arrancar nod in agreement. That a former one, that was the late Orochimaru, said Ulquiorra simply. Quite impressive, but we're getting off track of this meeting, and I wish to know what exactly Mist gets out of this alliance with Kumo, said Mei, wanting to get to the heart of the matter now with this proposal from the Raikage. An alliance with Kumo will provide Mist the means to be prosperous again, as trade can open up between countries, and there is also the ability to learn new things from Kumo, while the Mist shares a few things in return, said Ulquiorra, seeing the Mizukage nod in her head in consideration. I assume the things we share will be within reason, said the Mizukage, seeing the man nod. Of course. What we share with each other will be weighed carefully to ensure what is given qualifies as fair, said Ulquiorra, knowing fair trade of shinobi arts would keep things from becoming violent and hostile. Hypothetically, if Mist were to join this alliance, who would we be opposing in terms of the major villages? Said Mei curiously. I will, along with the Leaf Village and the minor village Taki being a distinct possibility, said Ulquiorra calmly. And Suna, said the Mizukage. The Kazukage and I are good friends. If anything, he'll join in this alliance, and help us crush our enemies. I can tell you are not like the late Tsuchikage, or the current Hokage for that matter, when it comes to Jinchuriki. You have a level head on your shoulders, and that is something I and the Raikage respect, said Ulquiorra, as he would have continued further, but stopped for a second, and turned his head slightly. What is it, said the Mizukage, will Lao use his eye to scan the building, and the area outside of it. Uninvited guests, said Ulquiorra, sensing it was Leaf Shinobi, and quite a lot of them this time. Leaf Shinobi, said Ao, well surprised at seeing so many. No doubt they plan to end this meeting with us all dead. And I mean everyone, said Ulquiorra, rising from his chair. They wouldn't dare harm the Spring Daimyo, said the samurai guard protecting Koyuki on her right. Actually, given the mental state of their Hokage, they certainly would, and they would make it look like the meeting didn't progress well with all sides drawing weapons. It makes Spring Country without a leader, misweakened to the point where anarchy will possibly destroy what stability the Mizukage has created, and make Kumo out to be the villain to further discredit them, said Ulquiorra, leaving the room to engage the enemy. How do you know that, said Mizukage, seeing the Arrancar look back at her. Because that is what I would have done in their situation, said Ulquiorra before exiting the room, and was soon outside where the horde of Leaf Shinobi had weapons drawn. Your time has come, monster. Soon you and your conspirators against the Leaf will die, said a Leaf Jounin with his sword at the ready. There are so many of you this time. Where's Uraya of the Sanin? Said Ulquiorra, as he looked around, and didn't find the man among this small army of Leaf Shinobi. You're unworthy of being in his presence, much less fighting him, abomination, said another Leaf Shinobi of Chunin rank it seemed. I see. He is not here. How disappointing. When I was given such an attempted bribe, I was expecting him to show up, and explain himself to me. Sadly that is not the case, said Ulquiorra before drawing his sword, and held it lazily in his hands. Kill them all, said the Jounin leading the group before the Leaf Shinobi around him charged forward to kill Ulquiorra and those inside the building. It never ceases to amaze me just how annoying trash can be until it's in your face with the horrible stench it creates, making you feel the utmost desire to throw up the contents of one's stomach, said Ulquiorra, as he cut through them with ease. And those he didn't slice through were destroyed by well-calculated bala attacks on Shinobi that chose to go around him for the people inside. No doubt their deaths and his survival would spread rumors, with such a scandal bringing about more enemies against the former Espada. Ulquiorra Schiffer would have none of that. When it was over, every Leaf Shinobi was either dead or dying from the injuries they had sustained at the hands of the Arrancar, with the pale-skinned man sheathing his sword before walking over to the dying leader of this army. The nameless Jounin, who would soon be dead anyway, tried to put up a good front in spitting blood on Ulquiorra's shirt, but the former Espada actually caught the wad of blood mixed with saliva, and smeared it across the Leaf Shinobi's face, before picking up the scroll hanging at the man's hip. High priority. Mission objective. Kill everyone at secret meeting between Kumo and Mist. Make it appear to be two sides breaking down in negotiations and drew weapons. Pin the blame on Kumo for starting it, and the slaying of the Spring Daimyo. Spare no one and leave no witnesses, even if they are citizens of Wave, and their families. Fifth Hokage, the councils, and clan heads of Konoha. Seeing the evidence needed to further bury the leaf into a much deeper hole, Ulquiorra returned to the meeting room, and threw the scroll onto the table for the Mizukage to read, before she handed it to the Spring Daimyo. The two women looked upset to say the least, as they did not like the idea of becoming expendable pawns to be used by another village, and the former Espada knew how they would react to this information. Ulquiorra-sama, I hereby speak for the Mist Village when I say you have my support and alliance with us in taking down the Leaf along with any of her allies. Tell your Raikage that we look forward to aiding him against our common foes, said the Mizukage, as she was going to enjoy burning Konoha to the ground, and teaching that blonde bitch of a Senju what happens when you cross a female Mizukage. I would also like to be a part of this alliance, Ulquiorra-sama. From what I just read in this scroll, I think it's clear the Leaf needs to be destroyed, and their Hokage brought to justice, said Koyuki, seeing Ulquiorra nod his head. I shall report to the Raikage of this news immediately, and then return to provide you both with documents needed to solidify our alliance. I suggest you both return to your respective territories until I can produce the documentation in order to prevent another attempt on your lives, said Ulquiorra, bowing to them both, and turned to leave. Ulquiorra-kun, wait, said Koyuki, seeing the man stop once again. Yes? Said Ulquiorra, turning slightly to see him. What are you now? A hero? Or a villain? Said Koyuki, seeing him pause in thought. I am both, and yet I am neither. I am simply Ulquiorra Schiffer, said Ulquiorra, as he left the room, to let them all digest this, and stopped several feet outside of the building, before turning to the tree, where someone was watching him. That person descended to the ground to reveal herself to be Midarashi Anko and Special Jounin of the Leaf. Is it true, said Anko, walking towards him without fear. Is what true leaf shinobi, said Ulquiorra, well a bit surprised the woman didn't go into a raged frenzy for killing so many of her comrades with their blood and bodies all lying on the ground around them. Did you kill Orochimaru? Kabuto too? Did you took Kusanagi and still have it in your possession? Said Anko, seeing Ulquiorra nod. Yes. Why do you ask? Doesn't the sight of so many of your comrades dead make you feel angry? Desire to lash out at me? Said Ulquiorra, seeing Anko let out an empty laugh. You're kidding, right? These fools hated me. I was Orochimaru's first student and failed experiment for his cursed seal. People saw me as the proverbial snake in the grass. That I would betray them, and so they made my life miserable from day fucking one, said Anko with venom in her voice. I see. So why do you serve them? Said Ulquiorra, seeing Anko shrug slightly. I honestly don't know. I mean, where else can I go? If I run, they'll just hunt me down, and then I'll be in even deeper shit when they bring me back to the leaf, said Anko with Ulquiorra raising an eyebrow. Come with me to Kumo, said Ulquiorra, seeing Anko look like he had grown a second head. What? Said Anko, making sure she heard him correctly. Come with me to Kumo. I assure you they will be more respectful than the leaf ever was, said Ulquiorra like it was the simplest thing in the world. You do realize the Hokage is going to lose her mind over this, said Anko, seeing the Arrancar show the briefest hints of a smirk on his face. I'm willing to be she already has, said Ulquiorra, knowing that if the woman wasn't already going crazy, then this would make her, and further bring even greater despair. Hokage's office. Days later. What? Yelled the Hokage, seeing Jiraiya shrivel up in front of her. Ulquiorra killed all the leaf shinobi sent to stop the meeting, and took Mirashi Anko with him to Kumo. I barely survived the encounter, said Jiraiya, knowing his lie now embedded in the truth was going to possibly bite him in the ass later, but considering how he had already betrayed Tsunade already, he might as well run with it, and see how far things would go before she caught on. Damn him, yelled Tsunade, as she could believe that little shit had done this to her, and robbed the village of its second best interrogator. The only thing she couldn't get mad at was the remaining rookies, and their senseis had been pulled at the last minute from the mission by Jiraiya, since he felt they would be needed most in the village when the time came to fight Ulquiorra here. Tsunade hadn't been happy about that move by Jiraiya, but considering how things went with the loss of everyone fighting Ulquiorra on this mission, the fire daimyo would have had the Senju woman removed from this office, and put some pencil-pushing fool in charge. It gets worse, Tsunade. The Mizukage not only agreed to the alliance with Kumo, but so did the Spring Daimyo, and so has the Kazukage of Suna, said Jiraiya, seeing Tsunade once again throw a temper tantrum in her office like a child being denied a favorite toy. Where do we stand with Iwa? Said Tsunade after calming down a bit. They're in this to the bitter end. The death of their beloved Tsuchikage has made the new one, the old man's granddaughter, has basically gotten everyone in Iwa to swear a blood oath to kill Ulquiorra, and all those that side with him. Said Jiraiya, seeing Tsunade was at least pleased with that piece of information. Good. I'm going to crush that brat, if it's the last thing I do, said Tsunade, seeing the man nod, but Jiraiya was mentally shaking his head, and wondered how things got so far out of control. We betrayed him. Whether I help him now or not doesn't matter. I can at least find a way to pay a fraction of the debt I owe my godson, thought Jiraiya, knowing he would have to be careful that Tsunade didn't find out. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed. If you want the next part of this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification, and also check out the other videos that I have created, and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.